assemble one of these units. Like I said, the company is absolute fail on the customer service. If you want to buy parts, aftermarket parts, if you want to buy new rods, new bits, I would stay away from Hydra-fab altogether. But as far as the used machine, if you have access to a used machine, I wouldn't be afraid of the used machine. You just have to get out there and work on it. Now this swivel head is something that's going to be a maintenance item, a regular maintenance item. These packings need to be, taken care of, and before you drill, you need to check your packings and make sure they're in good condition. You may have to replace them every so often, especially if you leave it sit. If you're using it every day, it's going to stay more lubricated. If you're just out on the farm and you're going to drill a hole this year, and maybe 5 years from now you're going to drill another hole, well, you want to check your packing, probably replace your packing each time. Your bearings, you should be greasing them. People tend to forget grease. It's okay, it's a bearing, it rolls around. But if you don't put grease in these things, they get out. Even this chain, you can see this chain is kind of stiff and dry. It needs some lubrication, but it does function. So it's very basic mechanically. This is something that most people could work on and repair. The hardest part is knowing what to take off and finding the right parts. Like, for example, these flanges, the guy I got the machine from didn't, he thought he just needed seals. I think he was in the machine before I was, but he didn't know to look for the flanges. And if you clean it off, you can usually find a casting number like that, and that casting number gives you the right size bearing. It'll have the right size diameter shaft. This happens to be 1.5 inches. Your bolts are 4 1/64 off center is your bolt pattern. And there's several bolt patterns, so make sure you measure your bolt pattern and order the right bearing. Your shaft size matters, your diameter of your shaft in here, but also the spacing between your bearings. If you get one that's 3 3/8 and you got a 4 1 inch, it's not going to fit because your bearing holes are going to line up here instead of here. So even though you get the casting number, also make sure you get these measurements from center to center for your studs, and also for your shaft diameter, or the inner diameter of this hole will be the outer diameter of your shaft, and the outer diameter of your faceplate. And double check those when you're looking at them, because you'll find this particular one has 4 or 5 different setups. But as far as a swivel bearing, that's how they're assembled. I will bring you back and bring you a clip when I get it put back together. Hopefully this will help somebody out. Like I said, there's no PDFs for this, there's no instructional manuals, there's no support from the company who manufactures it, and I was not able to find any how-to videos online of anybody else that has done this. So I figured this would help somebody else. I know this is not the only machine out there. They did sell a lot of machines, so hopefully this will help somebody else out. And again, you can see you got to put your packings in here. Modern equipment likes, a popped-in seal, and they're nice. But in the old days, packing seals did it. A lot of mechanical pumps still run packing seals. They will weep a little bit. They shouldn't leak, but they will weep. They won't have a stream of water coming out of there, but they won't be dry either. It'd be nice if they are, but 9 times out of 10 they're not. But these are what seals your water. I think their website says this takes 750 psi of pressure, if I recall correctly, and I'm not sure that's accurate. I know the packing seals, like the graphite stuff, was 500 psi. You're going to be running a mud pump, so you're not running that much to it. if a fellow wanted to run air to it, you could take this nipple out and put a T in there for an air line, so you could switch off, or some quick connects on there. But your basic swivel head, this is how it's assembled. And like I said, this shaft here will connect onto this like that, and you have a coupler, which this coupler you could probably find Tractor Supply or something like that. This coupler goes on here, and you have keyways. Keyways are what lock it in place. They fit in here, they fit in the groove on here, and that's what locks it from turning, and then the compression holds it in place. So this hydraulic motor drives that and turns the shaft. The water comes up this line and into the swivel head, and then the chain drive moves it up and down. So they're all different systems. They're all tolerably simple, but like I said, there was no disassembly or no instructions. These things are, I just want to emphasize again, these things are wear parts. They do need maintenance. You do need to put grease in things. These little things are not for decoration. These things are where you're supposed to put the grease in. Always make sure you clean these off. Make sure you clean the nipple, the ball off, and just give it a little shot of grease every time when you're going to use it, every couple hours if you're running it all day. Packing seals. Packing seals don't last forever. If they sit up for a while, they need some maintenance. You can see just how dry and corroded that is. You've got a wear mark in here where it's been bouncing around in the bearing, so it's packed these in further. You've got a mud line in there. A lot of that's just simple lack of maintenance that people didn't know about. There's no support to order any extra bearings, so people just keep on running things how it is. If you've got something like this and you need to rebuild the swivel head, don't be afraid to rebuild the swivel head. It's not that complicated. This stuff was stuck together, rusted together. Like I said, the adapter that goes on this was drilled out more than one time. As you can see, there's been several people drill these things, drill the threads out on that adapter, and I don't know, that's what you got to do sometimes. But that's how your swivel head works. It comes through these holes, and it comes out, the water comes out down this shaft. So there is some wear on this. I don't know if you can see that on camera. There's like a little bitty ridge right there where it's worn down, where it sits on a bearing. You got a little V wear in here. I think you can probably see that one right here, and that's where it's set on one of these plates right here. It was just riding right inside of there because this was bad. It was crunched in. It was dried out. It was not holding the shaft out. The bearings, stay there, baby. The bearings, while they still spin, I don't know if I'm showing you that good enough. See that pick up and down? You got side to side motion here. That's enough to wear that shaft. If you're running that shaft like that all day for just one hole, I mean, you'll wear into this. This is not, I don't even think this is tool steel. It could be wrong, but anyway, a person could, even if this is bad, a person could put this on a lathe. An average homeowner with a lathe could remake this part. This was not a complicated part. If you've got one to use for a pattern, I'm questioning why these holes are so small. I would have made them bigger if I was the one machining it, but you know, everybody's different, and this is what the machine worked with before. So That doesn't bother me quite as much as these drilled out set screws bother me. But for a swivel head, and that should work on most machines, but this is a Hydra-fab KJ 1800. And if you need to rebuild your swivel head, don't be afraid of it. This is how you do it. This is how it comes apart. And bring you back in a little while when I get the other ones put together. Okay, this is completion. Well, not completion. I couldn't take those little holes. I filled them in. This set screw sits up on here, sets in to hold your things. I'm just going to put some JB Weld where they drill through the holes and make it so the water doesn't come back through there into those set screws and rust them. And I'll grind it off later when it cleans up. Grease fittings are facing the operator now. Your flange bolts aren't all the way tight. You can see the packing seal in here. You can see it there by the end. The ends fluff out a little bit. This one did it even worse. But there is your setup. You have your hydraulic pump. You have your coupler that has 2 keys in it. You have your sets, your Chinese sets, set collar. And then you have the collar that goes onto the flange plate. It's part of the flange plate itself. You can get these bearings without the collars. I always get them with the collars to hold the shaft still. Your packing, if you can see, your packing plate is facing in towards your packing. Now, I'll point out something else here. Normally, you would want nuts like this to be facing downward, so they can't hold water. But you are pulling that packing plate. Get the hose out of your way. You are pulling this packing plate in this direction. So I want the nuts this way to pull in. And you want to get at least enough nut on here to tighten that, to get the plastic and the lock washer to tighten up. But that's basically how you redo a swivel pump on a drill rig from Hydra-fab. Like I said, there's no directions for it. I hope this will help somebody out. I know they got several machines out, and it's kind of pitiful that the company that builds stuff like this, they can't even answer questions, let alone sell spare parts. They have no kinds of manuals the customers or future customers can get a hold to. So if you need to take apart a swivel head made by Hydra-fab, this is Hydra-fab out of Phenix City, Alabama. I cannot recommend the company. Just the service alone would make me not want to buy from them. But if you find a used rig like this and you're willing to fix it, like I said, these are wear items. You have to do regular maintenance. You have to grease these things. There's grease fittings up here too. On these bearings, there's grease fittings down there on the pivots, and people just forget. It doesn't take much grease, just, you know, a couple little pumps, and I'd probably recommend a marine grease, because you are by the water and it won't wash out. You can get that stuff at Walmart in a little cheap pump can and grease these things. That would have saved these bearings, and all you needed to do was put packing seals in there. But anyway, this is the rebuild on the Hydra-fab swivel head for the drill, and I hope you all like it. I hope it helps somebody else out. Like I said, don't be afraid of most of the parts are fairly common that you can find in a local parts store. It doesn't look like he used anything specific. It looks like a metal fab shop basically welded a trailer together and put this rig on there. The pipes, I'm not sure exactly what kind of pipes they've got on this. They're a 7-foot 2-inch pipe, and you can see they've got the little ears welded on there for the locks. you can't even buy more pipe from him. He won't answer the phone, won't return calls, won't reply to email. So you're on your own if you have to source these kinds of things. But like I said, these parts here, the bearings, were easy enough to source. You can go to Surplus Center. They're always good about having hydraulic parts, bearings, flanges. These I actually found on Amazon. I'll put a link in there. It was 2 for like $28. So they're not expensive bearings. The packing. Now I went with the, instead of the PFD, the polyurethane packing, the white packing needs to be lubricated. I went with the graphite packing, and this is a 3/4 inch packing to fit that swivel head back in there. Let's see if I got the camera on that. Yeah. This piece right down in here that you can see kind of crimping out from the pump, that is the packing. And I chose the graphite because it is self-lubricating, and I don't have to worry about it as much as I do the PDF. You still will have to adjust that and tighten it every now and then. But as far as the packing, you always want to check these bolts before you start. Make sure everything's kind of snug. You want to make sure your gap between this one and this one, same thing on the bottom and the other side, are all even. You want that thing spinning even. But now that shaft is nice and snug. It's not bouncing around in there like a basketball in a, well, it's not bouncing around. Like I said, somebody else had tried to get into this before, and I assume they couldn't find directions either. They had these flange plates turned around backwards, pushing against the bearing, and the flat surface against the flat surface, thinking that was supposed to be a cup to hold the packing in there. But that packing needs these plates to add pressure to it, and that pressure squeezes the packing to make it seal up around the shaft. Like I said, they will weep some, but they shouldn't pour out of there. And there are no directions, so I can't fault the guy for trying to do it before. He didn't get it in there right. And there's nothing to look at online, so hopefully the next person who has to look at one of these and replace their packing or the bearings or both can see this video, and this will help them on how to disassemble and reassemble what it looks like inside. A lot of times that's the hardest part, is knowing what it's supposed to come off and look like. All these old set screws in these things here, they were really hard to get out of there. They were almost froze in there. So yeah, that's this collar shaft too was also bad. It was froze in pretty tight. So just put a little PB blaster on it, take a little time. You can take these things apart. 3/4 wrench, I don't remember what those two sockets were, 3/16 and or Allen's were 3/16 and forget what the smaller one was, but there's two different size Allen heads on this. The swivel bearings, the flange bearings have a smaller set screw than the Chinese retainer bearing. These are 3/4, these are 3/4. It's like an old case dozer, everything's 3/4. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Your hydraulic lines, you know, your main engine here runs the hydraulic pump. You got your pressure gauge, which needs to be replaced too, but your levers lift you up and down, adjust you for your drilling forward and backwards. The fitting down here is where your mud pump hooks to shoot water up your swivel head, and then it comes back down into your drill line. So that water will come out of the shaft we showed you on the swivel head, and it will come through one of these pipes down to your drill bit, which here's one of the drill bits that you'll see, and you can see the water will shoot out of here, and this flushes all your hole out. So you got the gas tank on the back and the hydraulic tank on the front, hydraulic cooler, fan, all fairly simple things. That's just a little electric fan. simple cooler. The hydraulic motors, you got a hydraulic motor here, you got a hydraulic motor there, and you got a hydraulic motor down there, are probably your hardest parts. Your cylinders, I mean, for what you can buy cylinders for now, you can probably replace a cylinder if it's leaking rather than rebuild it, but I like to rebuild things. Hoses, you can find at a local hydraulic shop. Even these bearings here, the pillow block bearings, you can get these replaced. Like I said, they do have grease fittings. Y'all please grease these things. This is your adjustment screw where you can tighten or loosen your chain. I can't say it enough. People just don't put any grease in these things. They run them, they figure it's the next guy's problem, and well, I'm always the next guy that's taking it apart and replacing a bearing because it does this. So y'all please replace them or grease them. But as far as your swivel bearing, your swivel head on the drill, that is your swivel head. And y'all click like and subscribe. Hopefully this helps you out. If it helps you out, give me a comment below. Keep it alive for the next fellow to look at. The more you comment on there, the more it stays up on YouTube's algorithm, up on the top of the page, and the next fellow will get to see it too. So y'all like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.